and praying that I could find something in our incomplete set of Encyclopedia Britannica, and needing to scour through books and Encyclopedia Britannica. Why can't I say that word? Hello and welcome to my porch. My name is Roy. I am a home cook and amateur baker, and I am here on this channel typically sharing recipes that have helped me to lose over 125 pounds, whether those recipes are mine or someone else's. Now today, since I'm on the porch, you know that means Tag Tuesday. And it's a very breezy Tag Tuesday, and hopefully that wind sound won't be too distracting. Not many fall colors yet. I can see some yellowing on some of the leaves. But not quite there yet. Plenty of acorns falling. I don't know if you can hear all those little thunk thunk thunks. That's acorns, yeah. That's acorns falling. And hopefully I don't get bonked on the head. Wouldn't surprise me. Anyway, it is Tag Tuesday. I have not been tagged by anyone because once again, these questions are from me. So I am tagging Sandy and Jimmy over at Let's Get Fit with Sandy. And for those who were wondering about my response to the question I gave Jimmy last week, that will be at the end of these questions. So if you're curious as to what my response was, you can wait around for that. I'm also going to tag Jenn and Steve, Mr. and Mrs. Chaos from Embracing Chaos with Jenn. You guys are being tagged. And for those of you who are curious as to what my shirt says, because I don't know how much you can actually read, this is one that I created. Says you don't have to be gay to be this fabulous, but it helps. Anyway, let us get on with the questions. This is a when I was younger tag. And honestly, I haven't looked over the questions since I created them a few weeks ago. So I don't have ready answers, even though you'd think I should. But no, I am not that prepared. If you've seen my channel, you know I am not that prepared. Number one, what's one item you have now that you wish you had when you were younger? I would have to say a computer. Because I remember having to do research for school and praying that I could get all the information out of the Encyclopedia Britannica set we had. And going to the library would have been so much easier with a computer, as well as writing. I wrote even as a kid. So definitely, I would love to have had a computer when I was a kid. Two, what were your favorite and least favorite subjects in school? Well, if you know me from these tags, then you know I've always wanted to be a writer. So my favorite subject was English. I also became an English teacher, so that should be obvious, but I also had a love of algebra at the time, because to me it was kind of like solving puzzles, and I would go to my teacher after class and ask her if she had any extra sheets that I could take home, because to me it was like solving puzzles and figuring out how to get, I don't know, it was just, that wasn't my favorite, but that was one thing that was unusual because I am not a math person. But because it was so like a puzzle, I really liked algebra. Least favorite, I'm sure this will come as a shock to many of you, my least favorite was gym. I hated gym. I was a chubby, shy, quiet, introverted gay kid, who got picked on a lot in high school. And gym was not exactly the safe haven you might think it would be. One saving grace was that I had a gym teacher, Mrs. Yerkonis, who would teach swimming. And because it was a requirement to have gym and not have failed gym, which I was very likely to fail gym, she let me take swimming repeatedly so that I could meet my gym requirement but not have to do the typical sports, contact sports and all that stuff. So without her, I don't know if I would have graduated, and I graduated half a year early, so there's that. Number 3, what was your least favorite food as a kid, and is it still? I've always hated seafood, but that's not what I'm going to mention, because the one thing, and I always felt so horrible about this, my mother would make chicken and dumplings. And I cannot deal with the texture of dumplings. The way they cook in the broth, in the gravy, whatever it is, and get kind of a damp, no. I can't, I couldn't do dumplings then. I cannot do dumplings now. The only way it can do anything like that is if I do like bake the rolls or the dough separately, the dumplings, and then put them on top, but then that's not really a dumpling. Can't do a dumpling. And my mother used to make it a lot. I would eat the chicken parts. I could not deal with the texture of the dumplings. Sorry, Ma. 4, what is one of your most embarrassing childhood moments? I forgot I'd put this one in there. We were in English class. I believe it was 7th grade. Was it English or math? English. And we had a substitute. And I was wearing a green sweatshirt with a hood. I don't know if I had the hood up. I must have had the, I don't know if I had the hood up or not. I don't think so. Not at that time. They probably wouldn't have let us. But anyways, so we had a substitute who had asked a question, and I raised my hand. Now I don't know if I can find a picture from back then, but I had a bit of an afro at the time, because my hair was very curly and my mother would let it grow out, and it was the 70s. And so I was in school, raised my hand to answer a question, and the substitute said, "Yes, the girl in green." For a young gay kid who's trying to keep it all in, that was not it. So yeah, I'll have to go with that one. Anyway, on to the next question. Who was your first celebrity crush? The first one that I can remember was Lee Majors, the $6 Million Man. Oh my God. I mean, I love the show just for the bionics. I don't know why they say bionics. I also say antibiotics instead of antibiotics. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. But yeah, Lee Majors, the $6 Million Man. I will insert a picture of him here so that you can see who I'm talking about. That's the first one I remember. There may have been others, but that's the first one I really know, and still, I mean, look at him. Did you have a childhood nickname? Not really. Roy is not a name that you can easily create nicknames with, and I didn't have, for the most part, any side nicknames. But I mean, I'd get Roy Boy, Roy the Toy Boy, all sorts of things like that, you know, the rhyming thing. But when I was very little, because I was named after my father, my mother would often call me June, which was short for junior. Or maybe she knew something ahead of time. I don't know. But she she would say, June, come here. And it didn't stick. I think it was especially once, I don't know why it ended, but maybe my father might have put his foot down about calling his son June. Probably. That sounds like it would be likely. But anyways, I didn't really have a nickname. That was very short-lived, the June thing. But no, I did not really have a nickname. That was a long way of saying no. Which school clique would you most likely have fallen in with? Jocks, nerds, cheerleaders, mean girls, loners, etc. I would have been, well, see, loners, I always think of like the gothy loners. But I was a loner. I had like one friend throughout high school, Kent. And then in senior year, I found a couple more because I had lost weight over that summer between junior and senior year. And I felt a little more confident and started getting a little full of myself, I guess, and got a few other friends, mostly because I had a crush on one of them. So typical. But anyway, so I was always shy, quiet. You know what? I think I would be like the little book nerd. That I would have, if there was a clique for book nerds, because I would hide books that I was reading from home in my textbooks to read while I was in class. And I did get caught one time by my social studies teacher, I think. And he took my book away, and it was towards the end of the school year. And I went crying home to my mother that I needed my book because I needed to know how it ended. And so she went down to the school and got my book back for me, so I was very happy. But yeah, I'd have to say, if there was such a group, I'd go with book nerds. Okay, number 8. Did you have any childhood pets? I did. I know that sounds surprising because I'm not a pet person. But this might have taught me that I was not a pet person. I did have a dog for a very brief time. I don't remember the name. I don't remember the breed, but I called him Alcatraz because I had learned that it was an Indian name, and being Native American, I thought, oh, that's a cool name, so I called him Alcatraz. He had a little house out in the backyard and ended up chewing through his line one day and running off, and never saw him again. I think I probably had him for a few months. But yeah, so I did have a pet, one pet, a dog, very briefly. 9, when you were little, what did you want to be when you grew up? Well, as I said before, I've always wanted to be a writer ever since I was very little. I've mentioned in one of these tags about how I used to tell my brothers scary stories because I've always loved horror stories. And I was probably 7 or 8. They'd go right to sleep and I'd cry for my mother because I'd scared myself. So I've always wanted to be a writer. And that's the only thing I ever really wanted to be that I'm aware of. I mean, when you're little, maybe there were other things like fireman is typical, that kind of thing. The only thing I remember is always wanting to be a writer. And number 10, the last question except for the question I gave Jimmy last week. A movie is being made about you in your 20s. What is the theme song? The theme song for my movie would easily be Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places. I was always falling in love with this one, falling in love with that one. And it was always unrequited love, or it was someone I should not have been involved with, or whatever it was. So definitely in my 20s, if that were a movie, the theme song would be Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places. Very true, sad but true, but it led me here, so no complaints. So the question I gave to Jimmy last week was, would you rather be bedridden and incontinent, meaning you couldn't control your bathroom functions, or or hideously deformed and hideously deformed and forced to live in a hall of mirrors? I got it. And why? Now, Jimmy shocked me, if you saw that tag. Jimmy shocked me with his answer. Shocked Sandy, too, from the look of it. And I won't tell you what their answers were in case you are curious. You can go check their responses. My answer is that I would rather be hideously deformed and forced to live in a hall of mirrors, because I have ADD, so the thought of being in bed constantly, not able to move or not able to really get out of bed is bad enough. But to be incontinent and to have to lay in the filth and no. I would rather be forced to live in a hall of mirrors as a hideously deformed person. And I mean, it is what it is. Just like with my body issues that I have now, it is what it is. So I would go with the hall of mirrors, being hideously deformed, not bedridden, no. So anyway, there are the questions for this week. And like I said, I am tagging Sandy and Jimmy over at Let's Get Fit with Sandy, as well as Steve and Jen, Mr. and Mrs. Chaos, over at Embracing Chaos with Jen. So I hope you like this tag. If you do, give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and you're looking for recipes that can help you on a weight loss journey. And if you are looking for recipes, I always forget to say, the link to my blog is down in the description box below, along with other links like the Fiber Gourmet Savings code, the Skinny Taste Syrups code, things like that, as well as the other people who do tags or WW content that I follow. So I keep forgetting to say that, so now I've done it. Also, comment below what your responses are. I will leave the questions down below in the description box as well if you want to answer the questions. And of course, feel free to share any of my videos if there's anyone that you know who would find them interesting or helpful. You can also follow me over on Instagram. I will leave my handle here. And also the 2 Facebook groups that I am part of. One is Recipes with Roy, that's me solo. And then Finding Our Way, WEIGH, which I co-admin with Jennifer Lynn from the Jennifer Lynn channel, as well as Bree Coleman from Balancing Life with Bree. We are the co-admins over there, and it is a great group of people, as well as the Recipes with Roy group. So join those if you feel like you need some tips, tricks, recipes, support, or what have you. So that wraps it up for this week's tag. I don't know who's doing the questions next week or if anyone's doing questions for next week. I haven't heard anything yet. We shall see. But until then, bye.